A Nebraska attorney just got suspended from practicing law, not for malpractice, not for ethics violations, for using AI to write legal citations and not verifying them. 57 out of 63 were defective, 20 were cases that never existed. That's story one. But it wasn't the only thing that happened in AI this week. Here's everything, April 14th through 18th, ranked from interesting to genuinely alarming. Welcome to Tech Take. 10 stories, 8 minutes. This was not a normal week. Not because one big thing happened, but because everything happened at once. New frontier models, new labs, a company reversing its entire identity, a legal first. By the time we hit story one, you'll understand why I'm framing this as a week the industry will look back on. Story 10. Google dropped Gemini 3.1 flashlight this week, 2.5 times faster than the previous version, priced at 25 cents per million tokens. For developers running AI at scale, that's a meaningful cost reduction. But the more interesting signal is what Google showed alongside it. Gemini 4, currently in preview, scoring 84.6% on ARC-AGI-2. That's the benchmark specifically designed to test reasoning that general AI supposedly shouldn't be capable of. No release date announced, but those numbers are not nothing. 9. Stanford's Human-Centered AI Institute published the 2026 AI Index, one of the most respected independent evaluations in the field. Model performance rankings. Anthropic at the top, xAI second, Google third, OpenAI fourth. If your mental model still has OpenAI as the default leader, this report complicates that. The index also flagged something structural. Performance gaps that used to take 6 months to close are now closing in weeks. The frontier is compressing. 8. OpenAI updated their agents SDK for enterprise agentic workflows. AI systems that take multi-step actions autonomously, rather than just answering prompts. The SDK update itself is technical. The number buried inside the announcement is not. Enterprise customers now account for more than 40% of OpenAI's revenue. That is a fundamental shift from 18 months ago. The consumer product is ChatGPT. The actual business is increasingly enterprise agents running inside corporate infrastructure. Those are two different companies, and OpenAI is becoming the second one. 7. On April 16th, OpenAI released GPT-Rosalind, a frontier model built specifically for biology, drug discovery, protein engineering, molecular modeling. The name is a nod to Rosalind Franklin, whose X-ray crystallography work was foundational to understanding DNA's structure. What this launch represents isn't just a new product, it's a strategic declaration. The era of one general model for everything is giving way to vertical AI, specialized models built for specific high-stakes domains. GPT-Rosalind is the clearest signal yet that OpenAI is building a portfolio, not just a platform. 6. Also from OpenAI this week, GPT 5.4 Cyber, built specifically for defensive cybersecurity. The framing is deliberate, defensive. This is for security teams identifying and analyzing threats, not generating them. It comes with tiered access controls, not open availability. That structure matters because cybersecurity AI is genuinely double-edged. A model that analyzes vulnerabilities can also describe how to exploit them. OpenAI's approach here, restricted access, explicit defensive framing, is worth watching as a template for how AI companies might handle inherently dual-use capabilities going forward. 5. xAI had a strong week. Grok 4 Beta 2 is now topping benchmarks specifically in medicine and legal reasoning. Two high-stakes domains where being wrong has real consequences. That alone is worth attention. But the bigger announcement? Grok 5 is confirmed for Q2 2026. 6 trillion parameters, mixture of experts architecture. That's a scale most current benchmarks aren't even calibrated to evaluate properly. And behind all of it, Colossus 2, xAI's compute infrastructure, is expanding to 1.5 gigawatts of capacity. xAI's thesis has always been that compute is the bottleneck. They are removing that bottleneck faster than almost everyone else. 4. On April 17th, Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.7. Stronger coding, improved vision capabilities, built for long autonomous tasks. The kind of sustained multi-hour agent work that most models still struggle to maintain coherently. They also launched Claude Design, a new product aimed at visual content creation. As a release, it's genuinely impressive. Anthropic continues to push the frontier, and Opus 4.7 in particular looks like it's built for the enterprise agentic use cases, defining where this industry is headed. We'll come back to Anthropic in a moment, though, because not everything from their week was clean. 3. Meta launched Muse Spark this week, the first model out of their new superintelligence labs, led by Alexander Wang. And it's closed source. No public weights, no community access, fully proprietary. This is Meta. The company that released the Llama series, the company that positioned open source AI as both ethically superior and strategically smart. The company that spent years criticizing OpenAI for being closed. That identity is now officially in the past. Add context. Meta's AI capital expenditure for 2026 is projected between $115 and $135 billion. That is not a pivot. That's a complete reconstruction of what Meta believes this industry is and what it takes to win it. 2. The same week Anthropic shipped Opus 4.7, Fortune and Axios both reported that Anthropic had quietly reduced Claude's default effort level, essentially adjusting how hard the model tries on standard requests without clearly communicating that change to users. The backlash was significant and immediate, and the question it raises doesn't have a comfortable answer. If a company can silently reduce what their product does while maintaining the same pricing, what does that mean for the trust relationship between AI labs and the people paying them? Anthropic hasn't fully addressed this. It is going to stay in the conversation. And now, Story 1. A Nebraska attorney has been suspended from practicing law after submitting a legal brief containing 57 defective citations out of 63. 20 of those citations were cases that AI completely fabricated. They never existed. Courts are not forgiving about this. Judges rely on case citations being real. When they're not, it's not embarrassing. It's a direct breach of the legal process. Other attorneys before this one have received warnings, fines, reprimands. This attorney lost the ability to practice. That is the most severe legal consequence for AI hallucination misuse on record. Here's what makes this story different from every other one this week. It's not about capability. Every other story we covered is about what AI can now do. This one is about what happens when a professional forgets that AI output cannot be trusted without verification. The plausible deniability of "I didn't know AI hallucinated" is, at this point, legally dead. If your professional license depends on the accuracy of your work, treating AI output as a reliable final product is no longer a defensible position. It never was. So, what does all of this taken together actually tell us? Here's my read. For 2 years, the dominant narrative in AI was democratization. Models getting cheaper, more open, more accessible. That is still happening at the commodity tier, and Gemini Flashlight proves it. But at the frontier, the opposite dynamic is playing out right now. Models are getting more specialized, more gated, more expensive to build, and more strategically guarded. Meta going closed source isn't an anomaly. It's a data point that confirms a trend that's been building for months. What's coming isn't one AI for everything. It's an ecosystem of vertical, often closed, high-performance systems that businesses will pay premium rates to access, and that individuals will increasingly interact with through mediated interfaces they don't control. The open source window isn't necessarily closing forever, but the meta reversal is a signal that the companies with the most resources are no longer betting on openness as a winning strategy. And the Nebraska story is a preview of what it looks like when adoption runs ahead of accountability. The technology is moving fast. We've seen that this week, story by story. The professional norms, the legal frameworks, the institutional guardrails, they are not keeping pace. That gap between what AI can do and what people understand about its limits, That is where the real risk lives right now. Not in the models, in the gap. 10 stories, 5 days. 1 week that covered new models, new labs, a company abandoning its own stated values, and a professional losing their license. If you want this breakdown every week, subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and keeps you current. Next week, we'll be watching whether Grok 5 actually ships on that Q2 timeline. If it does, we'll have it fast.